So when people ask me what I do, I say things like, I'm a lawyer, I'm a sexually chocolate YouTube guy, gun rights activist, firearms video journalist, and a bunch of other euphemisms strung together to make myself sound more important than I really am. But one of the things I am not is a lover of politics. Sure, in undergrad, I majored in political science, but that was based on a love for political theory and the structure of our government, and not based on the political discourse that plays out on the national stage and cable news every night. I love guns. I love shooting guns. I love educating people about guns. I love advocating for gun rights. And by and large, it's all I want to focus on. In a perfect world, I'd spend all my time making gun reviews riddled with ridiculous analogies and witty commentary. But as much as I try to carve out this special place in the world where all I do is fun stuff with guns, I can't ignore the fact that firearms playtime is overshadowed by the punditry and advocacy that will at some point cause me to wander out into the Machiavellian cesspool that is politics. I hate talking politics because it brings out the worst in people, including myself. Talking politics always seems to devolve into a competition of who can contort their ideological views into the perfect box shape. I have enough enemies to deal with on the gun issue alone. Throw in politics, and no matter what side I fall on, I become public enemy number one in everyone's world at some point. I put out a lot of different types of gun-related content, from sketch videos and gun reviews to Second Amendment commentary. Not that I try to, but there's nothing I can do to please anyone. If I put out a series of gun reviews, I'll likely get comments and messages telling me to get back to the commentary videos. If I put out a series of commentary videos, I get messages telling me to get back to the gun reviews. No one wants to hear politics. And you know what? I can't blame any of these people. We all like what we like, and whatever that is, it will be. But for me and what I do, it's naive to think that I can continue talking guns the way that I do and not end up talking politics at some point. This election cycle has reinvigorated my hatred for politics because it's put everything everyone hates about politics front and center, and it disgusts me. But as much as I hate it, our rights under the Second Amendment live in the world of politics, whether I like it or not. When I was younger and my mother wouldn't let me go outside to play until I finished reading whatever book she assigned that day, she always used to say, "Son, there's a time and a place for everything, a time to read and a time to play." I don't like it, and I don't think it should be this way, but as long as there are political figures who believe we shouldn't have this right and will use any measure, whether overt or covert, to strip this right, we will continue to live in this political realm, and guns will continue to live in this political realm. So yes, from time to time here on CN Live, I will talk politics as it pertains to guns directly or indirectly, not because I want to, but because I'll feel irresponsible of me not to. So with that, I'm going to answer a couple of questions that you guys have posted for me online, as I love to do because I do such a bad job of it. First comes from Micah Moore. Colion, what gun do you usually carry on a daily basis, if you don't mind me asking? Please reply. Thanks, man. That's easy. So I rotate guns. Generally speaking, I try to carry my Glock 19 as much as possible. If I can't carry my Glock 19 due to clothing restrictions, I carry my Glock 26. And then if I still can't carry that from a printing standpoint, I'll go down to the Glock 43. So I carry one gun, which I guess would be the Glock 19, but I kind of rotate between the 43, 19, and the 26. Another question that I get posed actually quite a bit is, why do I follow Hillary Clinton on Instagram? Well, look, with what I do, I have to be abreast of pretty much everything that goes on in the gun world, whether it's direct or indirect. I kind of just have to be in the know. So I tend to follow people who I don't necessarily agree with, not because I love them or endorse them or want to sleep with them at some point in life, but because I just need to know what's going on in that world. Because a lot of times they do things that fly under the radar that most people don't realize because they don't follow these people. So when, say, Hillary proposes some measure or says something against gun control that she probably shouldn't say or that affects us, I know about it instantly because I do follow her on Instagram. The same way that I follow a lot of other politicians on Instagram that I don't necessarily agree with or believe in. So that's why I follow Hillary, not because I support Hillary or not because I agree with her, but because I need to be abreast of what the enemy is doing in many respects. All right. Another question from 1PJLEWIS2. So this was in response to my most valuable gun video that I posted not too long ago. He's like, don't tell the world what you have. Well, see, here's the thing about that. I only tell the world what I want to tell the world. I don't show the entirety of my gun collection, and I think that's just fine. I don't believe in restricting my First Amendment right just because I'm overly concerned with some people knowing certain guns that I do have. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that I don't feel too comfortable showing my entire collection, but for all intents and purposes, especially when we're talking about things like Instagram, I do tend to show quite a few of the guns that I do own. I'm not really too concerned about that. Should I be? I don't know. Maybe there's a reason why I should, and I'm pretty sure someone will let me know about that. But as of right now, I'll continue to show a very selective few of the guns that I do have. All right. Let's see. We have Mike Clark. At Colion Noir isn't your Twitter handle, or is it? I thought you were Mr. Colion Noir. All right. So there's a bit of a discrepancy in terms of the different social media platforms that I'm on. At Colion Noir is Instagram. At Mr. Colion Noir is on Twitter and Facebook. So just to get that clear. The Mr. for Facebook and Twitter, no Mr. for Instagram. All right. We have another question from Tristan Rogers. I can remember way back when your collection was a Glock 19. So again, this is in response to the video I did about the most valuable gun that you own. Yeah, there was a time where I didn't have very much in the way of firearms. Ironically enough, I feel like in that sense, I probably shouldn't be posting that gun because it was the only gun I had at the time. And that would have been the entirety of my collection. But no, there was a period of time when I first got into guns where I bought about 4 or 5 guns within that first month. And I remember one of my friends cracking a joke. He's like, you don't buy guns, you rent them or you lease them. Because what I would do is I'd buy a certain gun and then trade them or sell them and then use that money to get a different gun that I wanted. Now, I think a lot of that had to do with trying to find my taste and my style. And it's a lot harder to do when you didn't have that much money at the time. So for me, I spent that time trying to get my hands on as many guns and live with as many guns as I possibly could by kind of trading them out just so that I can get an understanding of, okay, I do prefer Glocks in this sense, or I prefer SIGs in this sense, I prefer HKs in this sense, so forth and so on. So yeah, there was a time where my only most valuable gun was my Glock 19. All right. Uniform 223. Can't wait for the review. One thing I like about these videos is that he talks about the X factor that so many other reviews miss out. This was a comment in regards to the video I did on the Saint from Springfield. I've always thought it was a big deal to talk about the X factor in anything that I discuss or review, because sometimes it's when we start talking about tangible objects, we can reduce them to just kind of numbers and specs, and it doesn't really communicate a certain feeling that a lot of people do have when they actually get their hands on a gun. I remember the way I felt the first time I shot, the first time I went to a gun store, first time I picked up a gun, first time I bought a gun from a gun store. To me, those were the things that I remember. Now, those were, to me, the things that were most valuable. And so that's why I tend to really focus on those things in quite a bit in my videos, because to me, they were a big deal. And I know some people just see them as tools and they're just, collection of numbers and specs, and that's fine. But I think for a lot of people out there, they have the same experience when it comes to firearms. So I do my best to try to relate to those experiences. So that was the last of the questions. Again, I want to thank you guys for joining me on CN Live today. I'm Colion Noir. Join us again tomorrow at the same time, and I'm out.